Hey everyone, what's up? This is Six Path Weeb, back again with another deep dive into the world of Naruto. Today's topic is Suppose Naruko Mastered the Mind's Eye, Part 3. We'll be exploring some what-if scenarios, hidden potential, and how this ability could have reshaped her entire journey. Quick disclaimer before we begin, the content on this channel is purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I don't own any of the anime footage you'll see here, all rights go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Alright then, let's get into it, guys. As requested by Kakashi, all three members of Team 7 arrived at the training ground right at 7 in the morning. Sasuke leaned against a tree with his eyes closed, whether he was resting or simply avoiding conversation was hard to tell. Naruko sat nearby, reading yet another manga, this one titled Eyeshield 34. It featured a sport her teammates had never seen before, something called aim fudo. Sakura kept sneaking glances at Naruko, her irritation growing as Naruko seemed completely absorbed in her book and unaware of her teammates' presence. After nearly an hour of waiting, Sakura finally lost patience and snatched the manga from Naruko's hands. Hey! I was right in the middle of the action scene. Naruko protested. Naruko! Put that manga away for once. I'm bored, and it's obvious Kakashi-sensei won't be here for a while. Let's do something together, okay? Sakura urged. Naruko tilted her head curiously. Do you mean training? Holding back a sigh, Sakura nodded quickly. Yes. Exactly. Something like sparring. Naruko gave a sheepish smile and rubbed the back of her head. Sorry, Sakura-chan. Whenever Tatsu-sensei made me wait, reading was my way of passing the time. I guess I'm still not used to being around teammates all the time. Sakura softened and smiled gently. I understand, Naruko. Just try to think about others' feelings too. That's part of being on a team. Blushing faintly, Naruko nodded. So, sparring, then? We probably have at least an hour. They warmed up with simple taijutsu drills before moving into a more serious exchange. Sakura avoided using her chakra strings since Naruko had already seen them. Instead, she created chakra-formed arrows, spears, and even something resembling a giant racket to expand her attack range. Yet Naruko skillfully blocked or evaded nearly every attempt. Determined, Sakura tried a technique she had only imagined but never attempted. Gathering chakra into her palms, she released it forward as a glowing ball of energy. Naruko appeared surprised when it struck her torso, only for Sakura to gasp as Naruko's body vanished in a puff of smoke. A substitution? Wait, this isn't the time to overthink. Sakura realized, just as Naruko appeared behind her. Before Sakura could react, Naruko pounced, and they both tumbled to the ground in a tangle. Naruko ended up pinning Sakura, their faces only inches apart. Sakura blushed furiously while Naruko, catching her breath, gave a playful grin. Never turn your back on your opponent, Sakura-chan, Naruko teased lightly. At that exact moment, a calm voice cut through the air. Am I interrupting something? Startled, the two quickly scrambled apart as Kakashi appeared, glancing over his familiar little orange book. Sasuke raised an eyebrow, though for once he seemed faintly impressed by Sakura's efforts. Both Naruko and Sakura frowned at their ever-tardy sensei. Kakashi tucked the book away and pulled out two small bells. Alright, here is your test. The timer will stop at noon. Whoever captures a bell will pass and enjoy lunch. The one who does not get a bell will be tied to the stump and watch the others eat. The three Genin looked uneasy, though Sasuke managed to hide it behind his usual composure. Kakashi set down an alarm clock and clapped his hands. Begin. The students scattered into the trees. Kakashi stood calmly in the clearing, waiting for the first move. After a few minutes, Naruko leapt down to face him. Kakashi-sensei, I know this test must mean more than it seems. But I want to measure your abilities myself so I can plan how to get those bells. She released the ankle weights hidden beneath her pants. Kakashi raised an eyebrow as they hit the ground. Interesting. Though they don't look too heavy. Naruko grinned, readying her stance. Then let's test it. Taijutsu first. She dashed forward with surprising speed, her movements quick enough to make even Kakashi focus seriously. They exchanged blows rapidly until Naruko stepped back, breathing hard but smiling. You pass my taijutsu test, she declared with playful confidence before retreating into the forest. From their hiding spots, both Sakura and Sasuke watched in awe. So Naruko really was holding back during our spars. Sakura thought. I need to figure out her secret strength, Sasuke admitted silently. Soon after, Sasuke launched his own attack with a flurry of shuriken, only for Kakashi to vanish and leave a log in his place. Meanwhile, Sakura recognized and broke free from one of Kakashi's genjutsu illusions, proving her sharpness and composure. Sasuke pressed on, engaging Kakashi directly. Frustrated that he couldn't land a single blow, he leapt back and unleashed his fire technique, sending a blazing fireball forward. The smoke cleared to reveal yet another substitution. Kakashi's calm voice came from behind. Earth style, headhunter jutsu. Feeling a sudden tug at her legs, Sasuke was pulled into the ground up to his shoulders, leaving his head sticking out. Kakashi strolled casually toward him. "You aren't like Naruko and Sakura, are you, Sasuke-kun?" he remarked in a teasing tone. Sasuke frowned. "I'm different from them. Considering that you just sparred with Naruko a week ago and she bested you in a single move, I'd say she and Sakura are probably a step ahead of you." Kakashi smiled mischievously. Hearing a groan at the pun he had slipped in, Kakashi turned his attention back toward the trees. Suddenly, Naruko charged forward at an incredible speed. Catching Kakashi off guard, she managed to land a quick strike to his torso, and soon their playful exchange of strikes and counters resumed. After several minutes, Sakura called out, "Naruko. I'm ready." Grinning, Naruko launched herself at Kakashi once more. Instead of striking, she locked him in a hold, keeping him from moving momentarily. Distracted, Kakashi pushed her back into a tree, but to his surprise, the Naruko vanished in a puff of smoke. "A shadow clone? She's more careful than I expected," Kakashi muttered. Looking around, Kakashi realized Sasuke had already escaped his trap, and none of the three students were visible. It seems they're starting to understand the point of this exercise. The three Jonin soon emerged. Sasuke looked annoyed but thoughtful, Sakura seemed overjoyed, and Naruko stood calm and confident. "Looks like we pass, Kakashi-sensei," Naruko said, holding out her hand. Resting on her palm were the two bells. Kakashi's visible eye widened. "What in the world did you do?" Naruko smirked. "It was simple. When Sakura dispelled your illusion, she found me, and we began planning. Sasuke gave us the opening we needed by distracting you. While you were busy, Sakura used her chakra strings to help free Sasuke. My shadow clones kept you occupied in the meantime. Once one clone engaged you, another slipped behind and took the bells. Then it passed them back through the clones until I received them." Kakashi stared, impressed by their clever teamwork. They had not only shown strong individual skill but also worked together to achieve their goal. "Naruko. Truly a surprising talent. And Sakura, I underestimated you. To reach this level so quickly is remarkable." He walked toward them, raising an eyebrow. "Well, I have good news and bad news." Sasuke and Sakura looked confused, while Naruko gave a small sigh. "The good news is that Naruko and Sakura performed exceptionally well. The bad news is that, because of Sasuke's hesitation, none of you technically pass." Shocked, Sasuke protested. "But we got the bells. Why don't we pass?" "You missed the true meaning of this test," Kakashi explained. "The true meaning?" Sakura asked. Kakashi nodded. "I'm surprised you didn't realize it, Sakura, since you were so close. The true meaning of this test is teamwork," Naruko finished. "Correct," Kakashi confirmed. "That's why new shinobi are placed into three-person squads. Missions may be lost, but your teammates are irreplaceable. Supporting each other is more important than any single victory." He paused for a moment, gazing at a memorial stone nearby. Then he turned back. "Now, it's time for lunch. However, Sasuke doesn't get any. Don't feed him." Kakashi narrowed his eye. "This is your final chance to show me what you've learned. Don't disappoint me." With a light hop, he vanished from sight, leaving the three to eat. As they opened their lunches, Sasuke's stomach growled. Embarrassed, he looked away, but Naruko smiled gently, holding out a tomato with her chopsticks. "Here, Sasuke. This is your favorite, isn't it?" Sasuke looked startled. "But Kakashi told you not to. I don't want us to fail because of me." Sakura smirked knowingly. "Relax, Uchiha. If Naruko can't sense him nearby, that means he isn't close. And if you don't eat, you won't be able to give your best effort. We need you at full strength." Reluctantly, Sasuke accepted, and after a few bites, his expression softened. Just then, Kakashi appeared again as if from nowhere. "You three." The sudden intensity startled them, but then Kakashi's eye curved in a smile. "Pass." Team 7's faces lit up with joy as Kakashi explained that they would meet at the old bridge near Training Ground 34. Sakura cut Sasuke's ropes with a kunai, and he lowered his head slightly, feeling embarrassed. Naruko, Sakura. Thank you, he said quietly. Naruko beamed. We're teammates. That's what teammates do, it's as simple as that. Sasuke looked at her with surprise, then at Sakura, who nodded in agreement. Slowly, for the first time in years, Sasuke allowed himself a genuine smile. After about 2 weeks of working together as teammates, Sasuke had begun to realize that Naruko and Sakura were far more complex individuals than he had originally thought. At first, Sasuke had been surprised, and admittedly relieved, that Sakura no longer followed him around asking for dates. He assumed she had simply lost interest. However, it soon became clear that her focus had shifted towards something much greater. Sakura now carried a determination to improve that rivaled even the most dedicated of shinobi. Her progress with chakra control had been remarkable, and her confidence grew stronger by the day. Whenever she spoke with Naruko, her energy seemed to shine, her whole being lighting up with enthusiasm. She had also grown more approachable and friendly, though Sasuke couldn't help but feel that her politeness toward him sometimes carried a hint of formality rather than sincerity. For reasons he didn't fully understand, that left him faintly unsettled. Still, Sakura's fiery personality hadn't disappeared, her temper remained as sharp as ever. Naruko, on the other hand, was an entirely different story. She was difficult to define because her personality shifted depending on the moment. At times, she was calm and thoughtful, at others, she brimmed with passion and determination. She could focus intensely on training, then turn around and be the one telling jokes to lighten the team's mood during breaks. To Sasuke, Naruko was something of a mystery. Training under Kakashi had progressed more smoothly than Sasuke expected. Their sensei emphasized teamwork through exercises and D-rank missions, rarely offering direct instruction in jutsu. While this frustrated them at first, Naruko stepped in with creative ideas that changed everything. After noticing how their missions were repetitive and slowed training, Naruko spent 2 days experimenting. She devised ways to combine missions with skill development. For instance, during potato harvesting, the team practiced the earth-style technique Shinju Uzanshu no Jutsu, using underground movement to complete the task faster while improving their jutsu. Walking dogs became a chance to practice chakra control by balancing on water surfaces along the riverbanks. Searching for runaway cats turned into a tracking competition, where the winner earned the reward of learning a new technique. House painting became an exercise in creativity. Naruko used shadow clones, Sakura manipulated brushes with chakra threads, and Sasuke practiced chakra control by sticking to walls. These inventive methods not only made missions more engaging but also improved their teamwork and efficiency. Their progress was so impressive that on certain missions, Naruko was trusted to take the lead. Though Sasuke sometimes felt a spark of envy, he couldn't deny that Naruko guided them well. Clients even praised her leadership and enthusiasm. Within 3 weeks, Team 7 had completed over 40 D-rank missions while steadily strengthening their individual skills. Sasuke, under guidance from his teammates, quickly mastered chakra control exercises such as tree climbing and water walking, both of which refined his fire-style techniques. One morning, after warm-ups, Kakashi arrived with a new plan. "Good morning, everyone," he greeted casually, hopping down from a nearby gate. In his hand, he carried thin slips of paper that caught their attention. "Today, we're trying something different," Kakashi explained. "Naruko made a special request, and since your basics are solid, I've decided to allow it." His eyes curved in a smile. "She's earned a few points for creativity." Naruko, looking both proud and slightly embarrassed at Kakashi's teasing, stepped forward. "All right, Sasuke, Sakura, today you'll learn your elemental affinity." Her teammates blinked in confusion, so she elaborated. "Every shinobi has a natural connection to one of the 5 chakra elements: earth, wind, fire, water, or lightning. There are rare cases of other elements, but those are mostly legends. While a ninja can learn all elements, the one they're naturally attuned to will always be the strongest and easiest to master." She demonstrated by channeling chakra into one of the slips of paper. After a moment, it split cleanly in half. "See this? That means one of my affinities is wind." Sasuke took a strip and focused his chakra. The paper crinkled for a moment, then burst into flame. He smirked. "Looks like mine is fire." Naruko tilted her head thoughtfully. "Interesting. Try it again with your other hand, Sasuke. I want to see something." Sasuke raised an eyebrow but followed Naruko's instructions. Chakra surged once again, and this time the paper strip crumpled instead of catching fire. "Aha! I knew it." Naruko cheered with delight. "Sasuke, You actually have two elemental affinities, fire and lightning. Staring in amazement at the paper strip, Sasuke murmured, "Incredible." Composing herself, Naruko gestured toward Sakura. "Alright, your turn, Sakura." Sakura focused and channeled chakra into the strip in her right hand. To her surprise, the paper became damp. Naruko's face brightened into a proud smile. "Water. Just as I suspected. Water is gentle yet essential, much like life itself. Sakura, you dream of becoming a medical shinobi, healing and nurturing, just like water. It's a perfect match for you." Her little speech drew curious stares from her teammates. Naruko flushed slightly and gave a nervous cough. Try the paper in your other hand too, Sakura-chan." Sakura smirked at her sometimes teacher and repeated the process. After a few seconds, the paper crumbled softly into soil. "Earth," Naruko said warmly. "Strong, patient, and steady, qualities you already have, Sakura-chan." Sasuke studied Naruko carefully, while Sakura looked pleased with the results. "Wait a second, Naruko," Sakura spoke eagerly. "You haven't shown us your second element yet. Come on, I want to see." Sasuke nodded in agreement. Naruko shrugged lightly and gathered chakra once more. After a brief moment, the paper floated from her palm and drifted into the air before vanishing far away. Sakura's eyes widened. "Naruko-chan. What element was that?" Naruko shifted uneasily. "You'll have to ask Tatsu-sensei. It's not really my place to explain." Her teammates exchanged curious glances but decided to leave the question for another time. In the weeks that followed, after helping Team 7 discover their elemental affinities, Naruko supported their individual training. Thanks to her access to the ninja library, she found several techniques that would benefit them. Sasuke devoted himself to fire techniques. Naruko provided him with a challenging B-rank jutsu, Kaden, Karyu Enden. It took him nearly 2 weeks to perfect, but once he did, his chakra reserves had grown considerably. He quietly began to respect Naruko more, grateful for her guidance. Sakura progressed quickly in medical ninjutsu. Within a short time, she could treat minor ailments and neutralize small toxins. While higher-level medical techniques were restricted for safety reasons, Sakura continued improving her physical strength and stamina with weighted exercises and constant sparring. Naruko also shared a few scrolls, and surprisingly, Sakura adapted to earth-style jutsu faster than water. Naruko herself was something of a mystery. She trained tirelessly in wind-style techniques alongside taijutsu and sparring, but also spent long hours in meditation. Each time she emerged from this state, her presence felt stronger, though she never explained why. Despite their individual training, Team 7 often met with friends from the academy. Hinata, in particular, mentioned missing Naruko's old sparring sessions and teaching. This led Naruko to host weekly consultation gatherings where they would train, then relax with fun group activities like swimming or gardening. After weeks of growth, however, even the ever-patient Naruko grew tired of endless D-rank missions. The very next day, Team 7 entered the mission hall with new determination. Team 7, greeted the Hokage with a glance at his clipboard. "It seems there are no more D-rank missions today." Naruko, who often took the lead, looked at her teammates. They nodded in agreement, and she stepped forward. "Hokage-sama, may we request a C-rank mission instead? Our current assignments have been less than fulfilling." Iruka frowned. "Naruko, everyone begins with simple duties. You're no exception." The Hokage added, "Perhaps you misunderstand, Naruko. Missions vary widely, from helping villagers with daily needs to highly dangerous tasks. They are carefully ranked by difficulty. D, C, B, and A. Shinobi are also ranked, Jinan, Chunin, Jonin, and so forth. Jinan like yourselves typically handle D and sometimes C rank missions." But as the Hokage continued explaining, Naruko found herself distracted by a quiet conversation with Sakura. "Sorry, Sakura-chan, but like I said, only Tatsu-sensei knows how to make elven fizz." "Listen, Naruko." Sasuke unexpectedly spoke up in her defense. "With respect, Hokage-sama, we've already completed over 40 D-rank missions. They interfere with our training, and if we're to be prepared for the Chunin exams, some real field experience would help." The Hokage arched an eyebrow, both intrigued by Sasuke's confidence and surprised at the team's ambition. He turned to Kakashi. "What do you think, Kakashi? Are your students ready for something greater?" Kakashi gave a long sigh behind his mask. "Don't drag me into this." Noticing Kakashi's hesitation, Sakura leaned closer and whispered in his ear with growing urgency. Though her words were barely audible, they carried a strong reminder about discipline, focus, and responsibility. Kakashi's expression stiffened, and he gave a reluctant nod. Their teamwork is impressive, Hokage-sama, he admitted calmly, but a bit more structured training would certainly be beneficial. Since these students are confident in their abilities, perhaps we should allow Student Representative Naruko to recommend the type of mission? Irika's eyebrows lifted in surprise as he reviewed the records, startled at the number of missions Naruko had already completed. Meanwhile, the third Hokage offered a gentle smile to the golden-haired girl. If Naruko felt slightly uneasy, she did not reveal it. I would suggest a border patrol, Hokage-sama, Naruko stated thoughtfully. This would give us an opportunity to improve stamina, practice stealth, and strengthen leadership skills as a team. Impressed by her careful reasoning, the third Hokage glanced back at his clipboard. It seems the next patrol was originally assigned to Mitarashi Anko, he said after a pause, but I believe she would prefer a higher-ranked assignment. Very well then, border patrol it shall be. Your destination lies north, close to the waterfall country and nearing the boundary of the rice lands. The mission will last for 1 month, so be sure to prepare accordingly. You are to assemble tomorrow morning at the village's main entrance, 0800 hours sharp. Dismissed. Team 7 cheered with enthusiasm while their instructor released a quiet sigh. Sakura chuckled and remarked, 0800? Knowing Kakashi-sensei, that probably means we'll actually leave closer to 1100. At that, Kakashi's eye twitched slightly, though he said nothing. With that, he dismissed the team, and each member headed home to prepare for the journey ahead. What none of them realized was that this border patrol would turn out to be far more eventful than they imagined. For the most part, Team 7's journey to the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Rice was calm and without much disturbance. The border patrol itself was even quieter. Their duties mostly involved splitting into pairs. 2 members patrolled one area, Kakashi or Naruko patrolled another, and the remaining person stayed behind to watch over the camp. During this time, they also trained. Kakashi had explained that completing this mission successfully would make them eligible for the Chunin exams. Since they were still Junin, he allowed 2 hours a day for meals and practice, as Naruko and Sakura had requested. Meals were short and simple, training took priority. The first hour was spent on team exercises that focused on stamina, endurance, and leadership. Most often, all 3 Junin worked together against Kakashi, using every strategy and trick they could think of. Kakashi never fell for the same plan twice, which forced them to adapt constantly. Naruko shined in these exercises, showing clever instincts and quick adjustments. Sasuke also showed promise, though more methodical, while Sakura impressed them all with her fast growth and surprising leadership ability. The second hour of training was for individual practice. At least, that was the intention. In reality, the 3 Junin had been quietly developing a shared secret technique, something they hadn't revealed to Kakashi just yet. They were getting closer to finishing it, and the sense of excitement motivated them. 4 days before their border patrol was set to end, Kakashi observed with quiet pride that his students were nearly ready for the Chunin exams. Naruko had sharpened her abilities and learned several new jutsu from scrolls. Sasuke had strengthened his control over fire and lightning styles. Sakura's taijutsu and ninjutsu had both improved remarkably. Things had been peaceful, at least, until that day. Kakashi was assigned to patrol the eastern side of the border. He leapt smoothly from tree to tree, though after several uneventful hours he found himself growing a little bored. He pulled out his familiar orange book to pass the time. Just as he did, a faint tremor rippled beneath the ground, catching his sharp senses. He quickly dropped down from the branches and landed gracefully on soft soil. Scanning the area, Kakashi tossed a shuriken into a nearby bush. A figure leapt out and landed lightly, assuming a ready stance. The stranger was lean and agile, clearly someone who valued speed above all else. His short brown hair framed his focused expression, and his oversized white tunic contrasted with baggy green shorts and sturdy sandals. Getting careless, Sharingan Kakashi? The man called out with a confident smirk. Kakashi gave a small, knowing smile. Isn't it a little warm for shorts? To Miss Hiro Naga? The man tensed but quickly regained his composure. Kakashi recalled what he knew. To Miss Hiro Naga, an A-rank missing nin from Iwagakure, notorious for his special bloodline and resilience. Few strikes could break through his unique defenses. Well, Kakashi thought, better to keep my team away from this. Naga sneered. Your reputation makes you a valuable target, Kakashi. Many would pay well for a chance to face you. Kakashi's eye curved into another smile. I'm not surprised. Then let's see if you're as good as you claim. With that, Naga rushed forward, and the two clashed in a swift and intense battle. Dash. Meanwhile, Naruko and Sasuke were returning to camp, moving with a steady but slightly tired pace. Their focus had dulled a bit, so when Sakura suddenly appeared, both blinked in surprise. Sakura-chan? Weren't you supposed to be guarding camp? Naruko asked curiously. That's not the point right now. Sakura replied firmly. Kakashi-sensei ran into someone. I think he might need backup. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Kakashi is a jounin. Do you really think he needs us? Naruko shook her head. Sometimes teamwork makes the difference. Even strong shinobi can be caught off guard. Let's move carefully. We'll scout first, stay quiet, and if Kakashi truly needs help, we'll step in. Sakura and Sasuke both nodded, and with renewed determination, Team 7 dashed off in formation toward where Sakura had seen their teacher. As Naruko had predicted, Kakashi was locked in a balanced fight with Naga. Both exchanged swift strikes and powerful jutsu, neither able to gain the upper hand. Finally, frustration flashed across Naga's face as he formed a hand seal. Kekkei Genkai, Gatai Kongu. As if guided by unseen forces, chakra enveloped Naga's entire body, making his form appear stronger and more solid. Kakashi narrowed his eyes, studying carefully, then revealed his Sharingan. He charged forward and delivered a strike, yet, to his surprise, Naga didn't dodge. The impact sent a wave of pain through Kakashi's arm, stunning him. Without hesitation, Naga launched forward with remarkable speed, unleashing a series of precise strikes that forced Kakashi backward and left him struggling. This is the famous copy ninja Kakashi? Naga said with a confident smile. I expected more strategy. Almost unnoticed, Kakashi began weaving hand seals behind his back, taking advantage of the moment. Perhaps, Kakashi replied calmly. But I've always preferred swift movements over lengthy battles. Gathering what energy he had left, Kakashi clasped his palms together and summoned a crackling surge of chakra. With determination, he leapt forward. Chidori. His signature technique collided with Naga, momentarily startling the Earth-style shinobi. Yet, when Kakashi withdrew his hand, the attack had left only a faint crack in Naga's reinforced defense. Breathing heavily, Kakashi slumped, his energy almost spent. Naga stepped closer. It seems this match is nearly over. Any final thoughts, copy ninja? Instead of fear, Kakashi's expression brightened into a sly smile. Just one, duck. Perplexed, Naga glanced behind him, only to be caught off guard as Sasuke and several Naruko shadow clones leapt at him, forcing him into a defensive struggle. Meanwhile, the original Naruko and Sakura had already prepared their techniques. Sakura completed her hand seals first, placing her palms firmly onto the ground. A massive boulder coated with natural minerals emerged from below. Channeling her chakra-enhanced strength, Sakura lifted the heavy mass and launched it high into the air toward Naruko. Excellent work, Sakura-chan. Naruko called encouragingly. Now go support Sasuke, I'll need him for the next step. Sakura hurried to aid Sasuke, while Naruko completed her jutsu. Focusing deeply, she gathered her chakra and created a powerful gust of wind to hold the boulder aloft in the sky. The effort demanded everything she had, and sweat trickled down her face as she maintained control. Soon after, Sasuke returned, immediately forming hand seals for his part of the plan. Katen, Karyu Enden. From his mouth, a fiery dragon roared forth, igniting the suspended boulder into a blazing sphere. Perfect, Sasuke. Now, if this doesn't succeed, guide Sakura to support Kakashi-sensei, Naruko urged, straining to keep the fiery mass aloft. With coordinated timing, Sasuke cleared the area. Hearing Sakura call all clear, Naruko gathered her remaining strength. She released the boulder and propelled it forward with a tremendous burst of wind, transforming it into a radiant meteor of fire. Senjutsu, Hinote no Nagaraboshi. The blazing sphere streaked across the battlefield with astonishing force. A brilliant flash followed by a thunderous shockwave rippled outward, rustling trees and stirring the air for miles. The combined energies created a spectacle of fire, wind, and chakra so immense it seemed to shake the very ground beneath them. Once the effects subsided, Naruko instructed Sakura to tend to Kakashi-sensei's injuries and remain on guard. Meanwhile, Naruko and Sasuke cautiously assessed the outcome of their teamwork. When they regrouped, Kakashi, though weary, regarded them with curiosity. That was extraordinary. What exactly did you just perform? The three young shinobi exchanged glances before Sasuke spoke first. It's a technique we created together, designed to rely on our teamwork. We argued at first over how it should work, but eventually realized combining all our strengths would make it far more powerful. Sakura continued, it took time to get the timing perfect. My part was to create and throw the mineral-coated boulder. Naruko added, once Sakura-chan sent it up, I used wind style to hold it in place. Then Sasuke used his strongest fire technique to ignite it. Together, while distracting the opponent, we gave it the speed and power of a meteor. Kakashi raised his eyebrow in amazement. Remarkable. This might be the first time I've ever seen Jinan successfully pull off a technique of such magnitude. Your teamwork has turned this into something beyond ordinary ninjutsu. Naruko gave a confident yet humble smile. Not ninjutsu, Kakashi-sensei. Senjutsu. Kakashi grinned, clearly impressed. It had been 4 days since the Sandaime Hokage had assigned Team 7, minus Kakashi, their very first C-rank mission. For once, the Hokage enjoyed a rare moment of peace within his office, the quiet broken only by the rustle of paper. He expected the Jinan to return soon and awaited Kakashi's official report. After a minute passed, a puff of smoke appeared, marking the arrival of Konoha's well-known copy ninja. Hatake Kakashi, reporting as requested, Hokage-sama. Ah, Kakashi, Sarutobi said with a chuckle. I half expected you to arrive at least an hour late. His smile faded, however, when he noticed Kakashi's unusually serious expression. What is it? Did Naruko's leadership not go as we hoped? Kakashi exhaled slowly. Not exactly, Hokage-sama. Naruko and her teammates performed remarkably well, especially considering this was their first mission of such rank. Their teamwork was impressive, and each of them displayed strong individual skills. They managed to remain composed. For the most part. Sarutobi's brow furrowed. What do you mean, for the most part? Did they panic? Did you need to step in? Kakashi shook his head. No, nothing like that. Toward the end of the mission, things became overwhelming. To protect me, the three of them had to go far beyond what anyone would expect from New Jinan. Their response was extraordinary, truly beyond their age. The Hokage leaned back, his face thoughtful. I see. And how did they manage such a feat? Kakashi's eyes softened slightly, as if replaying the memory. You might find this difficult to believe, but they combined their strengths in a way that created something entirely new, a collaborative technique unlike anything I've seen. I've taken to calling it a form of Sanjutsu. The Hokage's pipe nearly slipped from his hands. A new technique? At their level? His astonishment was plain. Yes, Kakashi confirmed. And with its level of power, I recommend it be treated as A rank or higher. It would be unwise for outsiders to learn about it. Sarutobi slowly regained his composure, nodding gravely. I agree. The force of such a technique cannot be underestimated. And it seems word of it may already be spreading. Reports indicate the energy from their combined attack was felt within a 5-mile radius. That kind of display will not go unnoticed. Neighboring villages have already increased their Chunin exam entries by nearly 40%, sending their most promising Jinan regardless of readiness. Competition will be fierce this year. Kakashi tilted his head. Then our village's reputation will surely be tested. Indeed, the Hokage said quietly. But enough of that. How did your students handle everything afterward? Kakashi thought carefully before replying. Naruko acted with surprising maturity. She held her emotions in check, guided both Sasuke and Sakura home safely, and ensured they reached familiar surroundings. Sakura was returned to her parents for rest, while Naruko personally brought Sasuke to my home so he could recover in a place of trust. She put her teammates first, but I worry she has no one she feels she can confide in about the weight of this mission. Worried? Why so, Kakashi? Because Naruko tends to carry her burdens alone. She has a guardian, Tatsu, but I don't know how to reach him. If possible, Hokage-sama, I'd ask your assistance. Sarutobi nodded with understanding. Yes, I shall reach out to Tatsu. Seeing someone she trusts deeply might lift Naruko's spirits. With that, Kakashi gave a respectful bow and was dismissed. Once the office was empty, Sarutobi carefully drew out a curious device resembling a watch. Pressing a small button, he spoke into it. Tatsu-san? Your ward requires you. Allow me to explain what has occurred. Meanwhile, far away, Tatsu was in the middle of a pleasant dream when the sharp sound of a ringing communicator pulled him from sleep. With a groan, he tried to ignore it, but after the 10th ring, he knew it would not stop. Rubbing his eyes, he reluctantly answered. Yes? As he listened to the voice on the other end, His expression shifted from sleepy irritation to seriousness. I understand. Where is she now? He waited for the reply. All right. I'll be there immediately. Stretching, Tatsu began to get ready, his thoughts already focused on Naruko. Once again, Kanahagakure no Sato welcomed the mysterious traveler, Muhi Tatsu. Villagers paused to glance at the unusual haired man, and upon noticing his attire, strikingly similar to Naruko's, they seemed to draw their own conclusions. This mattered little to Tatsu, who was intent on locating his young charge. Rather than scanning the busy streets, he occasionally retraced his steps or turned unexpectedly, as though following an unseen path. Along the way, several of the soon-to-be-known Rookie Nine greeted him warmly, but Tatsu explained with polite firmness that he had no time for conversation. The young ninja found this surprising, for Tatsu, although a little blunt, had seemed much more sociable during their earlier encounter. At last, Tatsu found Naruko perched quietly on a tree branch, her gaze distant. With a sigh, he began climbing up to her. When he reached her side, he remained silent for several moments, allowing her to study him with eyes that seemed to ask unspoken questions. Finally, Naruko could no longer contain her feelings, she clung to her guardian and released her worries in a flood of tears. Tatsu responded with gentle patience, embracing her until her cries softened. After several minutes, Naruko grew calmer. Tatsu gave a faint, sympathetic smile. Would you like to return home for a little while? He asked softly. Naruko nodded. Tatsu lifted her carefully and placed her on his shoulders, turning the moment into a playful ride. Leaping down gracefully, he carried her away at a light pace. High above, the Hokage, Sarutobi, observed the scene through his crystal ball. He knew it would be several days before one of his promising young shinobi would return. Reviewing Naruko's mission report, he stamped it with approval. A person can either be weighed down by emotional burdens or grow stronger because of them. Sarutobi believed that Naruko might have been overwhelmed, but with the right guidance, she could now find growth in unexpected ways. Even though Tatsu was once a stranger, he had proven to be exactly what Naruko needed, someone who cared deeply. Muhi Tatsu, despite his flaws, was far wiser than Sarutobi had anticipated. As predicted, Naruko returned within 3 days. During her absence, Kakashi had cancelled all team duties, believing that Sasuke and Sakura also needed time to recover and reflect. When Team 7 gathered again, Kakashi noticed that, while they appeared unchanged at first glance, subtle shifts in their demeanor hinted at growth. What surprised him most was that the three Genin weren't training as usual during his typical late arrival. Curious, he observed quietly from a nearby tree. Sasuke, once overly prideful, now carried himself with more thoughtfulness. He had spent days in quiet contemplation and seemed more aware of his own path. Sakura, though tense, appeared more determined than before. Kakashi decided she might benefit from guidance from experienced kunoichi such as Kurenai or Anko. Naruko, however, seemed the least burdened, her spirits lifted, no doubt, thanks to the reassuring presence of her guardian. Kakashi realized that perhaps Tatsu's gift was not in battle but in words and wisdom. Finally deciding to reveal himself, Kakashi leapt down, startling his student slightly. Slipping his hand into his pocket, he produced 3 slips of paper. Listen up, I have important news, he began. The 3 Genin leaned forward curiously. Although it isn't official yet, I believe all of you are ready to take the Chunin exams. I'll submit my nomination to the Hokage soon. If you agree, present these nominations to room 301 at the Academy on July 31st. Their reactions were priceless. Sakura gasped in disbelief before breaking into a wide smile, and Naruko instantly began to cheer. She and Sakura spun in a circle, laughing, before tugging a reluctant Sasuke to join in. Even he, after a moment, allowed a small smile. Kakashi-sensei, you're the best. We need to start planning our training right away, Naruko exclaimed enthusiastically. Sakura soon added, actually, Naruko. Sasuke and I thought it might be good if you helped Hinata, Shino, Kiba, Shikamaru, Ino, and the others too. Remember, they asked for your guidance before our mission? Naruko tapped her forehead sheepishly. Oh, I forgot. I'll check on everyone and see how their training is going. But, are you both sure you don't still need my help? Sasuke shook his head lightly. You've helped us a great deal already. It's only fair that the others benefit from your guidance too. Sakura grinned. That's right. You've become Naruko-sensei to all of us. Naruko blushed at the title but smiled nonetheless. All right then, but I won't share details about your training with others. That should stay between us. That's fair, Sasuke replied with a small smirk. Besides, Sakura added, the other teams could really use the support. Hinata's already making progress, but Ino's team especially needs the extra boost. Naruko gave a nervous laugh. I don't really do much. I just give suggestions. Both of her teammates exchanged knowing looks. Naruko sighed good-naturedly and bounded off toward the training grounds to meet teams 8 and 10. As she disappeared into the distance, Sakura and Sasuke turned expectantly to Kakashi. What? He asked innocently. Teach us something, sensei. Without Naruko, we don't have anything new to work on. Sakura pressed. Sasuke's firm stare echoed the same request. Kakashi rubbed his temple thoughtfully. Why don't you show me what you've been working on instead? Sakura and Sasuke exchanged exasperated glances, but without another word, they began a sparring match, eager to prove their progress. Indeed, as Sakura had mentioned, Team 10 had reached a steady stage in their training. Kuji had already mastered the art of enlarging his limbs, Ino had managed to persuade her father to teach her the Shinrashin no Jutsu, and even Shikamaru, though reluctant, had practiced team coordination with his friends. Still, compared to Naruko's team, their progress appeared slightly slower. Sarutobi Asuma preferred to let his team grow at their own pace, believing they lacked the motivation for rigorous training. He also admitted that he wasn't always sure what their next steps should be. Because of this, Naruko often helped the Ino Shikacho trio during her free time. One day, she casually asked whether they had also been nominated for the Chunin exams. This secret soon reached Team Kurenai, and by the end of the day, Kakashi's cherished book had been temporarily confiscated as a playful punishment for letting information slip. After witnessing the effect the nominations had on their students, the Jonin sensei returned the book to Kakashi, who expressed his delight in an overly dramatic fashion. From then on, every time the instructors observed their students, they could see clear progress. Naruko had her peers training in ways so secretive that even their own teachers weren't always aware of the details. The instructors speculated endlessly about Naruko's techniques, especially after hearing whispers of her newly developed sanjutsu. Some theories grew so far-fetched they bordered on comedy, such as Asuma's playful suggestion that Ino might acquire a cow summoning contract, which earned him a sharp rebuke from Kurenai. Even Sasuke and Sakura, who for once asked Kakashi for guidance, remained unwilling to reveal their most advanced techniques. During a sparring session, however, Kakashi was astonished. He witnessed medical ninjutsu, chakra nature training, and an impressive adaptation of Naruko's style known as Naiatsu. While less forceful than the original, these techniques were still remarkably effective. Kakashi couldn't help but wonder, who exactly was Naruko? Was this what the third Hokage had felt while teaching the legendary Sannin? At last, the time for official nominations arrived. The day of the announcement was filled with anticipation. Many Jonin and several Chunin gathered as the third Hokage formally declared that the biannual Chunin exams would soon be held in the village hidden in the leaves, a grand occasion indeed. Now then, Sarutobi began, calling for silence. Do any of the new Jonin sensei wish to put forth nominations? Kakashi stepped forward first. Team 7, under my leadership, Haruno Sakura, Uchiha Sasuke, and Uzumaki Naruko. I officially nominate them for the Chunin exams. The crowd immediately began to whisper at this bold declaration. Without hesitation, Kurenai followed. Team 8, under my guidance, Inuzuka Kiba, Aburame Shino, and Hyuga Hinata. I do the same. Then Asuma spoke. Team 10, under my leadership, Nara Shikamaru, Akimichi Kuji, and Yamanaka Ino. I also nominate my team. Gasps rippled across the hall, 3 rookie teams nominated at once. Many onlookers suspected a rivalry between the sensei. Surprisingly, Iruka remained silent, though others expected him to object. Before the tension could fade, a booming and spirited voice rang out. Kakashi, my eternal rival. Are you certain your students are ready to shine with the flames of youth? I have trained my team for a full year, and I know they are prepared. Do you truly believe yours can stand alongside them? Exclaimed Mito Guy with his usual enthusiasm. Kakashi, calm as ever, replied with a casual glance. My students may not have had as much time as yours, Guy, but you forget one important detail. Uzumaki Naruko is among them. Remembering the young kunoichi who had surprised even the Uchiha prodigy, Guy softened his challenge slightly. And the second detail? He asked. I don't play favorites, so I don't need the extra time. Kakashi's answer, delivered with his nose still in a book, made Guy fume, though he was restrained by fellow Jonin nearby. Finally, the Hokage concluded the meeting. Very well. 13 new Jinan will enter the exams this year. May they make the village proud. Kurenai blinked in surprise. 13, Hokage-sama? I thought there were only 12. The Hokage explained gently, there is one additional candidate, a lone Jinan named Muhi Ryu. Though his teammates are no longer with him, his efforts and determination have earned him this chance. Meanwhile, elsewhere, 3 other Jinan discussed the news during training. Did you hear? For the first time in years, 3 rookie teams are entering the exams. A green-clad boy said excitedly. A pink-haired girl smirked. It must be some rivalry among the sensei. Not likely. One of those teams belongs to Itachi Kakashi, the boy replied. The girl raised her brows. Kakashi-sensei? Impressive. Their quiet teammate finally spoke. Still. You can't help but wonder what challenges they'll face. The day of the exam arrived. As instructed, Team 7 went to the academy, only to be surprised by the number of other Jinan assembled in the waiting area. Detecting a genjutsu concealing the correct doorway, they moved forward. A team of students had just been discouraged by 2 older candidates blocking the way, but before Sasuke could reveal the illusion, Naruko stopped him with a hand gesture. She calmly handled the situation, briefly removing her sunglasses. For a fleeting moment, her eyes shone with quiet power. The 2 blockers, dazed and bewildered, stepped aside without resistance. A kunoichi nearby blushed in admiration, while her teammates looked equally entranced. Sakura noticed, and though she felt a flicker of jealousy, Naruko seemed completely unaware, urging her team onward. Soon after, they met their sensei, Kakashi, who gave them his trademark smile. Good, you all made it. If you hadn't, you would have failed before even beginning. Groaning at Kakashi's peculiar sense of humor, Naruko remarked, another teamwork lesson, sensei? Precisely. Now off you go, the challenge awaits. With heads held high, Team 7 entered the exam with determination, ready to face whatever awaited them. Or so they believed. Dear YouTube family. That's all for now. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Regards. 6 Path Weeb.